Okay.
I
All
used to
right.
like frozen food, still frozen, and I might still like that. I don't know. I just
Really?
haven't
Nah,
been
I'm
doing
out.
it.
Pass. Hard
Nah.
pass. Thanks, though.
Yeah.
That's some JD Vance type shit.
That's a no. That's a no, Carol.
Yeah,
I liked frozen jalapeno poppers.
I'm out. Oh, like cooked though.
No,
I don't
I
know.
had one. I would eat them like
Oh my
frozen.
god. All right, I'm done. All right, I'm gonna count us in. Jesus Christ. I just watched a serial killer movie and now I'm starting to wonder if everybody around me is a fucking serial killer eating frozen jalapeno poppers frozen. Jesus.
It's like I mean, it was the cream cheese kind, and it had like I mean, I've had jalapeno ice pops that were good. It's got the cream and
What?
it like melts. I've you never had
Three,
like a spicy ice pop?
2. Hey, this is D Night.
This is Carol.
This is Ty.
And you're listening to the Bar and the Interaction podcast, where apparently one of us eats frozen jalapeno poppers while they're still frozen like a serial killer. Speaking of which, I watched Trap the
Where
other
one
day.
of us is obsessed with serial killers and thinks just regular weird stoned behavior is indicative of evil.
Okay, fair enough. That's a decision you make either when you're a serial killer or you're extraordinarily high. But I did watch Trap the other day at the theater, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. You know, I wouldn't
Oh, what's
necessarily
it about?
About this guy who takes his kid to a concert, but the concert is a trap for a serial killer on the loose. Plot twist: the guy is the serial killer, and he's trying to like weave his way out of it. It takes a plot twist again towards the end with the conclusion. We don't have to get into the specifics of the spoilers, but it is an okay movie. Again, like if you rock with M. Night Shyamalan, I guess you'll like it. But like
Yeah.
as just like a movie on its own, it's got some flaws and some issues. But I mean, it was entertaining. I
You know,
won't.
he's. I don't know. I don't think he's really been putting out anything really stellar.
He ain't in his
past few movies.
This wasn't his bag, right?
Yeah.
And then the last one with the end of the world at the cabin thing, it was fine. Not some again I'll watch twice, but it was okay. Now the superhero movies, Unbreakable, Glass, all of those are pretty dope. Anyway, let's get off of that because we've got another weirdo to talk about in JD Vance shortly. But in case you missed it somehow, Kamala Harris in the campaign, they rolled out the red carpet for her vice presidential pick, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. They've been on fire. Like, the welcome reception that he received from the party, at least online and at the rallies, it's been off the charts. I mean, it's just indicative of the Harris campaign continuing to just knock it out of the park at every turn. I don't think I've ever seen a presidential campaign start off like this and then just never make a mistake. It's been some incredible shit to watch, especially like the Democratic Party, because we're all about it's just unforced errors.
I think that she has really done a lot to dispel or debunk how people try to paint her as not likable.
It's undeniable at this point if you look at all the hoopla around her and the excitement, and everyone is. I mean, look at her rallies. That's like,
off the charts.
50,000 people there.
No, you're excited. I get it. It's some off the charts Obama level shit. Like she had the rally in was it Michigan today that the registration was so like out of this world that she moved it to like a what was it?
The airplane hangar.
Yeah, a flight hangar. And then that thing was blowed out. Like it was incredible. It looked like
great.
Yeah.
I know who's not happy. Mike Lindell.
No. But so let's take a second to tackle that thing you said. The Kamala Harris is unlikable, quote unquote. So do you know where that like frame of reference came from?
No, I don't know where it originated.
Probably Trump.
Fox News. So one of the things. So we were talking about this offline, but one of the things that happened immediately after the 2020 election, well, basically in 2021, once Fox News got their footing after January 6th, is the attacks, the angle that Fox News immediately started to take surrounding, Biden and Harris and their campaign was, so the Trump is too old, that originated on Fox, and then the Kamala Harris is unlikable. Those were the two angles that they chose and they stuck to. And like the problem with Fox News and like the right wing, media industrial complex, disinformation industrial complex, the thing is, because like they have such a massive echo chamber, but it is an echo chamber nonetheless. Like they can influence so many people into, like, if you spend enough time pumping this information into people's heads, it will have an effect on their behavior. But because their audience is so large, eventually those narratives, they spread into the mainstream consciousness. And like with Biden's age, mainstream media eventually picked up on that. And as you saw, they wouldn't let the narrative go until he was out of the race, obviously. But the Kamala Harris is unlikable thing, that originated on the right. Just kind of this amorphous thing that you just tell people enough, and over a long enough course of time, they started to believe it's true, even though there wasn't really any evidence to support that. I mean, other than some polling. But again, like the polling is influenced by the narrative that the right wing was putting out there. And now that Kamala Harris is in the spotlight, like that narrative has been shattered. And part of the reason why she didn't have as much of an opportunity just to do public facing events in the way that she's doing now that she's the front runner and the Democratic nominee is, like, obviously one of the more subtle attacks on Biden was that Harris was like secretly running the White House.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's pulling his strings.
And just like with Obama, when Biden was president, there's always this tenuous balance between, like, how do you promote your vice president without like letting that person overshadow what you're doing while you're in office. I mean, that's just the dance, especially when you're a Democrat. But I mean, Trump was keenly aware of Mike Pence's like public perception, and that's why Trump didn't let him do shit. Like the one time he tried to let Pence do some shit, he was like, "Oh yeah, well we'll let, like, since the pandemic is a hoax, we'll let you like do the pandemic press conferences." And I think Pence did like 2 of those, and Trump was like, "Oh fuck that, bro, I'm taking over." And then that's how we got our infamous, inject yourself with like Clorox.
Man, or whatever. We had everything from demon sperm to horse haze.
Hey man,
to look. Bleach injection. And
I remember the first one, I was almost like, all right, he's handling this okay. Because the first one, he's like, yeah, we already have a website like tracking every case in real time and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, all right. And he's like, and we have all these measures in place. And I was like, wow.
Well, that was also like, the one.
Then I like looked it up and I'm like, oh man, none of that's true.
No, yeah. And then, yeah. He was saying all of this shit, and we're going to have like a task force, and we're going to get all these companies together. And like none of that, it was, not only was it not planned, it never happened. But that was also like when he was saying basically, if you don't test for it, it doesn't exist. I mean, look, it's been a whirlwind experience. The
more that,
Trumpian
I mean, Biden
politics
was great. He was a great president. He did really good things for the American people. But when I go back over the years, this has been my little thing right now, is to like share his batshit craziness on Facebook.
Who Trump saw is wild.
Yeah. And then I'll go and I like videos that I'm able to download. I'll download and I was like, this fool said this. And most people didn't see those things because Fox never covered that. No. You know what I mean? Like they would never cover the ridiculousness. And, even if you heard him say, like if you were at a rally or listen, it was like there was some kind of disconnect. And I think that now people are coming out of their fever dream and they're snapping back into reality like, oh shit, we almost fucked this up. Like,
well, okay, so there's a lot of people who voted in 2020 and then just didn't pay attention to politics anymore. And now that like the election's in full swing, again, part of the the polling is just weird because people one a memory hole 2020, just because, again, obviously for a lot of people it was traumatic or frustrating. You just don't want to think about like what a fucking
I think
disaster.
a lot of people don't want to admit that they voted for him in 2020. That's why they go, I voted for him in 2016, because 2016 it's like, okay, I can forgive you for that because we really didn't know, but they low key like voted for him in 2020, so we want to act like it never happened.
Yeah.
Like he just will say something and then the very next second say something else as if he didn't just say what he said before, like 30 seconds ago, kind of thing.
More importantly, at least concerning politics, like I think part of the reason why Trump was polling fairly strong is because people just like in the news didn't help with this at all. Just memory hold the whole Trump experience. Like we just stopped talking about how crazy the fucking shit was and then just moved on and pretended like the shit didn't happen. But, you know, Biden dropping out of the race, I think that shit went up like a fucking, you know, like the bat signal or something. And then people were like, oh, this is fucking serious. And they started paying attention. Yes. And now everyone's being reminded of just how insane it was when Trump was president, how not insane it's been while Biden has been president, because clearly they haven't had to pay attention to politics. And like, oh, that shit is crazy. And that's why like his polling is collapsing overnight. It's not just the Kamala effect, but like people being confronted with reality, having a huge... or at least a seemingly huge impact on public polling. At least, not that I rely too heavily on that, but I think that's
and they're like I said, I just feel like that something just snapped, and I think the pressure that we were putting on with the Project 2025 thing was a start. And thank you again, Taraji Henson, for using the platform.
Better put that respect on her name, Taraji.
That we people were like, whoa, and then people started Googling, people started like, and they're like, this is nuts. And
that they put it in writing is insane too. But I mean,
that they put it. Did you see how Christopher Rufo was having a meltdown? He was on one today. It was like back to back tweets against Walz. But they were so unhinged. I think Allison had posted, and it was like, this dude is losing his mind. Like they were I mean, he's already a lunatic, but they were completely unhinged. He was posting Trump style, like back to back. It was wild. I was like, good God, this man is really losing it. Really losing it, because they're starting to see their racist utopia that they've been hoping for all these years.
Dreams are fading.
Their dreams fading fast.
And part of the reason they're fading is just because of the obvious success of the rollout of the Harris campaign. And now her vice presidential pick, they don't have anything on. They don't have any attacks against. But let's give him his flowers. Here he was at the announcement rally the other day. And he came out of the gate swinging pretty strong. I mean, I was impressed. Should be as well if you've yet to see this.
Now, Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. And that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
Look at VP's face.
Yeah, he knocked it out of the park. Now, when I saw the list of potential candidates that Harris was going to pick as a running mate, I was like, well, none of of all of these, there is no miss. So she couldn't have made a bad decision.
Yeah.
Upon seeing this dude handle that first rally, I mean, he's knocked it out of the park. And there's just so many things about this dude that make him like the perfect counterbalance to Trump's pick of JD Vance. It's insane. It's like they built this dude in a lab just to beat JD Vance's ass into a pulp.
Just to beat him.
He's like everything that Vance wanted, hillbilly elegy or shillbilly lethargy, whatever the fuck.
Shillbilly elegy.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever he wanted to embody in that book. Everything that Vance wanted that book to imply, like you get that in this guy. He's like Midwestern to the core, you know, lily white, nice wife, like dad energy, football coach, teacher, military vet, hunter, like loves,
like literally, yes.
He loves cats. So JD Vance is out there pissing off every cat lady, like, you know, Tim has a fucking cat. Even drinks Diet Mountain Dew. Like it's the thing of like Vance's nightmares. It's crazy.
One thing that I have noticed is how close he is with his daughter. They seem to have, she influences him a lot in a good way. Like, I would think he was talking about the gun violence. I think it was something like after another mass shooting or something. And she was like, Dad, you have to do something, you know?
Yeah. And he's, so I think he's passed some pretty, not stringent, but effective gun safety legislation in Minnesota. I mean, he's on to everything you would want in a running mate that you would want like to complement Kamala Harris. This guy brings to the table. And
I think that they are a great pair. And I do, what is he, 661?
61, one of those.
I thought he and Kamala Harris were the same age.
Might be the same age.
They're like 2 years apart because she's 59. So he's
I think he's 60.
2 years, a year or two older. Not too much, but yeah. But Josh Shapiro was on fire. Oh my God, I listened to his speech like 5 times.
Yeah.
But how he wasn't bitter or butthurt. I think that Josh Shapiro has a great future ahead of him, a long future in politics.
And then the media was trying to do this thing where they were, because he didn't get selected as the VP, they're trying to create some kind of chaos inside the party by like pitting Walz and Shapiro against each other. I mean, it's clearly not working, but like Shapiro addressed it basically immediately at the rally. Where he was saying, look, he's here to serve his state and help Kamala Harris and Tim Walz become the next leaders of the United States. I mean, put that to bed. And I just...
With Pennsylvania being a battleground state, I think that Josh is needed more in Pennsylvania right now.
On the one hand, yeah, but I mean, if he was on the ticket, will you instantly win Pennsylvania?
Oh.
So that was one of the things I was thinking about when she picked Walz. I was like, well, so like Walz is great, but he's not going to automatically win you a swing state. But he's not going to hurt the campaign either. And, you know, I
honestly think that he is. I think that he's going to sway like even more like independence and stuff.
He's going to have a broader appeal for sure.
And that's why they're getting out there doing 2 rallies a day and really like, because they don't have so much time. But when I started to notice him, he started coming up in my feed, little videos. And then people were like, oh man, this guy is cool. And then I was like, oh, let me learn a little bit more about this guy, because he didn't have the name cachet of Kelly or Shapiro.
He does now.
But yeah, absolutely. And they're really, really trying, and they're bringing up a DUI he got 30 years ago and trying to say that he abandoned it. And it's like, I'm done with arguing with trolls.
Because I mean, this attack on him that he's like an alcoholic, no, that he like had an incident and it was an inflection point for him. And then that's what caused him to stop drinking.
Stop drinking, yes.
Yeah, that's like, obviously you want someone who can share a story like that It's like, here's an example of where I was making a mistake in my life and I fixed it, and look where I am now. So the two biggest things about him,
admitting to a mistake is something that Trump doesn't understand.
You got that
Most
right.
Republicans don't understand that.
Although to be fair, Trump does understand not drinking. Say what you want to about, his undisclosed drug habits. One of the things that's noteworthy about him is he just doesn't consume alcohol.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not giving him that much credit for that. Like the other parts that he didn't have any awareness of the situation or humility. It was the humility or being able to admit fault that's more important,
No, it is. I was just saying a thing, but I was getting to this.
Also saying a thing.
I did nothing wrong. That's his line.
I was also getting to this point about how, there's the, political saying like, well, what guy would you want to sit down and have a beer with? Well, for one, Trump doesn't even drink beer. So like, that's one thing, but also like we've never seen him laugh. Why would you want to have a beer and have a conversation with someone that's never laughed in public? But so the two things I think most noteworthy about Walz above all else, and like this is like generally speaking, like why he will have such universal appeal is, again, I'm not white, but I do know white people, and this guy is every white person's dad. Like in the most generic, like boilerplate sense of like, this is like America's dad.
A sitcom.
Yeah, he's a sitcom white dad.
90s sitcom. Yeah.
And then two,
I can see it.
Two, and this is hilarious. It's like Kamala Harris was sitting around thinking like, I wonder who would be the perfect VP pick for me. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what Obama did. I'm going to go get Joe Biden. She basically picked a younger version of Joe Biden without the verbal gaffes. And I think, again, this is one of the, I guess you have to do like the cost benefit analysis of I could pick a swing state governor and sew up that state. Or like I have this other guy over here who I know will have, this broad mass appeal and will complement the administration in ways that maybe, a Shapiro or a Whitmer wouldn't. And that's where we ended up where we are. But it's an amazing pick. Turned out great so far. And I can...
No, go ahead.
No, I can just like, I can see what Harris was thinking, and like to see that come to fruition practically overnight. It's just an incredible move. I mean, again, I've never seen a campaign like this where it's just not a mistake made. What were you about to say?
Well, I was going to say that even though they're only, 1 or 2 years apart in age, she presents younger.
Yeah. And
I think that because he does, present like the fun uncle, grandpa vibes from him. And I think that's going to appeal to older voters. I think that they would have been.
Oh, no.
Ruh-roh. Well, anyway, so
Taya's unfortunately dropped off, but we're still here. She'll be back.
She'll be back. But something just to play off where Ty was going, it's a perfect example of like this weaponization of age that was used against Joe Biden being flipped and used in a positive way to help the Harris campaign. Because while he does present as older, it's like in a welcome back. I don't know what you were saying, but I was getting to this point based off what you were saying. It's like the pick of Walz was like it's like jujitsu, right? It was a way or judo where they took all of this negative energy surrounding the perception of age of Joe Biden, and then she flipped it and she's turning it into like a tool that's working for the campaign instead of against it. Because like you said, Walz does present older, but it's like in the fun grandpa way.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it will be, like I said, like, the older voters, I think that will, like I said, they would be a little suspect of Josh Shapiro because of age. And then Kamala, I don't know if there would have been as much of a balance.
Yeah.
On the ticket. And I think that Walz he gives that balance.
He's the compliment that probably didn't exist in any other the candidates on the short list.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. But yeah, I mean, just I when she picked him, the more I learned about him, I was like, I think this was the best choice. I think this was the best choice. And I don't want to say, of course, nobody is perfect, and I don't want to jinx it and say, the sky doesn't have anything, but it's not like he's lived a life, just a milquetoast life. Like, he's done so many incredible things. He has had some experience, like getting his DUI. And I think that's a great a way to say, like, hey, I messed up. We make mistakes, take responsibility for that, hold yourself accountable, and do better. And he did do better,
Yep, she nailed it.
Absolutely.
10 out of 10 pick.